Welcome to Mindful Minutes with Jillian. I'm so glad you're here. Here you'll find meditation, mindfulness, yoga, and other therapeutic exercises designed to help you reset, re energize, and be your best self. Hello, and welcome back to Mindful Minutes. Today, we're going to be focusing on the concept of redefining our self worth, increasing our self worth through positive self image, and confronting automatic negative thought patterns. And to get started, we're going to guide ourselves through a little bit of a centering practice. So, if you want to take a comfortable seated position, if you want to lay down, if you want to just kind of stand in like a mountain pose with your hands over the heart, that's fine. Whatever's comfortable for you. You can sit on the floor, sit on the couch, sit on a chair. But let's just take a moment to relax our mind and body, calm our thoughts, and just get back in touch with ourselves. So if it's comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And let's take a moment to connect with our breath and our body. I'd like you to take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale softly and slowly through your mouth. Continue with that gentle flow of breath. Inhale and exhale. And with each round of breath, see if you can let go of any tension that you have housed within your body. If you're seated, maybe try and connect your feet to the floor. Or if you're standing, feel yourself being firmly rooted to the floor through the soles of the feet, feeling grounded and connected to the present moment. If you're laying down, bring your awareness to the points of the body that are connected with the earth, with the couch, with your floor, and feel the body sink a bit deeper into that surface with each round of breath. Take a moment to scan the body, looking for any tension, relaxing the muscles in the face, the jaw, the neck or shoulders. Release any tension that might be in the back or the hips. And as we focus on our breath, bring the mind to stillness. And if the mind does wander, call it back to the breath. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And when you're ready, draw your awareness gently back to the room. I'd like you to take a moment to think, what does my internal voice say to me? How am I speaking to myself on a daily basis? Am I being kind? Am I being patient? Am I being gentle, loving, forgiving, encouraging? Or is that internal voice becoming my biggest critic? Am I being unkind, impatient, judgmental, mean, dismissive, or rude? And without trying to change anything right now, I would like you to just reflect. Am I being my biggest supporter with the words I speak to myself? Or am I being the person who most tears me down? Our inner voice is the voice we hear most often, and it is a powerful communicator. So it's important to know how we are speaking to ourselves each and every day. As you sit and reflect on these images for a moment, I would like you to pause and think about your self image. And this isn't just how you see yourself on the outside, but it is that internal voice, that internal story, that daily narrative that tells you who you are and what you're worth. When you look in the mirror, when you get dressed in the morning, when you step into the bathtub or out of the shower, or weigh yourself at home or the doctor's office, when you're at the gym or out with friends, what are you saying or thinking about yourself, your body, your personality, your behaviors, your progress, and your goals? It's important to understand the narrative that we tell ourselves in order for us to understand if that's a narrative we want to continue or if it's a narrative that we're ready to change. If you are someone who struggles with a negative self image, you're not alone. It's a common struggle and a common challenge. And unfortunately, it begins at a very young age. And the sooner we begin to confront it, the sooner we can change not only the narrative we tell ourselves, but also the way we truly see us as individuals, the way we truly see our worth and our impact. And with those changes can come a decrease in depression, a decrease in anxiety, a decrease in stress, positive impact on relationships with ourselves and others, and an overall better sense of well being. Ask yourself, what is one common negative belief I hold about myself? And this might pop into your head immediately, or you might have to pause and reflect. But what is one negative belief you hold about yourself? Maybe it's left over from childhood. Maybe it's a narrative or a thought that someone else has put on you. Or maybe it's something that you've been carrying for so long that you don't even remember where it originated. Some common examples might be I'm not attractive enough, or I'm not pretty, I'm awkward, I'm not confident, I'm too fat, I'm boring, I'm dumb, I'm lazy, no one loves me, I'm unlovable, I never finish what I start. Over time, these simple truths, quote unquote, that we tell ourselves become so solidified within our psyche that we begin to think of them as static, things that can't be changed. And when we look at these negative beliefs that we hold about ourselves, I would like to begin to shift our mindset. If this thought were on trial, what evidence supports it? And what evidence does not? Sometimes there is some truth or some evidence to support a negative belief, but it doesn't mean that we can't change it. Other times, there's absolutely no evidence to support a negative belief, And somehow we've just come to believe it as true. These negative beliefs or these limiting beliefs are not facts simply because we repeat them to ourselves, simply because someone else told us they were true, or simply because somehow we've become to view them as truth. Limiting beliefs are not necessarily facts. And the more we begin to ask ourselves what facts actually prove this and what facts actually contradict it, the more we begin to dismantle these negative belief systems we have about ourselves, and the more space we open up to rebuild. A personal example I have is this belief system that I can't dance. And I believed this from a young age. I was never a great dancer by whatever standards were being told to me. Um, I didn't have a background in dance, and I felt like my rhythm just wasn't where I wanted it to be. I couldn't pick up steps as easy as other people. And when I became an adult, I withheld dance from myself. It was something that I didn't do, not because I didn't want to, but because I felt it wasn't accessible. I felt I wasn't good enough. And finally, I said, enough. Dance is fun. It's something I want to do. I want to try. I want to be involved in. And it started little with, mommy and me dance classes, a mommy and me ballet class, or kitchen dance parties with my kids. And then I took an introduction to ballet class for adults. And I began to realize that there's no wrong way to move our bodies as long as it feels good. And then I took Latin dance classes, and I started going out Latin dancing with friends, and I took ballroom dance classes, and I really became very connected to what dance can do for both the mind and body. And now I've even done 3 dance recitals as an adult. So this limiting belief that I became to view as fact was actually a false belief system. And I turned that negative belief of I can't dance into a positive belief and a true belief. I move my body to music because it feels good and it brings me joy. So I would like you to pause for a moment and reflect on a limiting belief that you can reframe into actual truth. Once you take the time to reflect on some of those negative thoughts or negative belief systems that are maybe impacting your self image and turning that negative, the next step is to try and rewrite that narrative or rewrite that script, or redefine that voice that speaks inside your head. So, I would like you to contemplate on some of those negative thoughts and then try and replace the original thought with something that's realistic, not forced. So, for example, sometimes when I'm working with teenagers, especially, if they say I'm not pretty or I'm ugly, I don't want to just outright tell them, okay, well, now we're going to start telling yourself I am beautiful, because if they don't feel that way, it's not going to feel authentic. So, what I might ask them to do is focus on body neutrality instead. I appreciate the things my body does for me. Or focus on a feature they like. I really like the way I styled my hair. I really love the way I do my makeup. I am good at doing my hair. I have a good sense of style. Things like that. An example might be I don't always feel confident, but I'm capable in learning. And that can replace automatic negative thoughts like I'm not confident, I'm not good enough, I don't have any skills. Another good one for negative body image is my worth is not defined by my appearance. That's such a gentle approach, right? You're not saying, I feel beautiful. You're saying that even when I don't feel beautiful, my worth is not defined by my appearance. I am making progress every day. That can replace negative thoughts like, I don't ever finish anything, or I always fall short of my goals, or I'm, not good enough. Other positive replacements are I have purpose and drive. I do things that bring me joy, or I can step outside of my comfort zone. What positive replacement can you come up with for some of those negative thoughts that seem to pop up in your head? And I love these images of post-its because this is something that I do myself, but I also encourage a lot of my clients to do in clinical work. Um, Write something positive on a post-it note every day and stick them on your mirror or on your bedroom door or in your office cubicle or in your locker, whatever. And the more you read these notes of positivity, the more you'll notice that your mindset starts to shift. So go get a pack of post-its and start writing some positive statements there. This is also another resource I use a lot in my clinical practice. I tend to print this out probably several times a week, but it's 101 positive things to say to myself. And you can visit the website and download your own copy. But if you're having trouble coming up with positive self talk statements on your own, there are some really good ones that you can borrow or use from this list. And they're things like, I love myself, I am unique, the sun is shining, and I'm ready to take on another day. I refuse to give up because I haven't tried all possible ways. I am smart. I am important. I believe I can change the world or at least my corner of it. I'm happy with who I am. I'm a good person. I choose hope. My life is filled with possibility. My past does not define my future. I deserve to have good things in life. I choose to be brave. I can control my breathing. Today, I forgive myself. I am loved. My spirit is beautiful. I can change my life. I will learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow. And there are many other beautiful ones on this list, and I encourage you to find ones that speak to you and start writing those down and repeating those to yourself, replacing some of that negative dialogue with love and compassion and kindness for yourself. The more often we engage in these negative ways of thinking, or the more often we repeat or consume these negative thoughts or negative belief systems, the more powerful they become. And they become so ingrained in our way of thought and in our way of living that it begins to greatly impact and define who we are and how we feel about ourselves, our relationships, our place in the world, and our overall worth. And we call them automatic negative thoughts or ants because these thought patterns, once so deeply ingrained, become so automatic that we often engage in this style of thinking without even recognizing it. And if we don't recognize that we're doing it, it's hard to change. And if we don't change it, it continues to impact our life. And one of my favorite activities to do, especially with my younger clients, is to write a series of statements, both positive and negative, on pieces of paper. And we wander around the room or down the hallway and we'll read each one. And if it's a positive statement, we'll pick it up and we'll put it in our pocket. We want to keep those and carry those with us. And if it's a negative one, we stomp on it like we're squashing an ant, but don't really squash ants because they're beautiful little creatures that deserve to live too. But for the sake of this exercise, we're going to squash it, squash that automatic negative thought, squash that ant. And it's just a fun, engaging way to get ourselves thinking without judgment and without pressure about some of the negative thoughts that we tend to either see in ourselves or other people. And when it comes to automatic negative thoughts, one of the ways we challenge these or recognize these or begin to reform these or reframe these is with CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy. And we look closely at how our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors are interconnected. For example, if we think that we are worthless, we are going to feel defeated. And because we feel defeated, we're going to continue to engage in behaviors that just perpetuate and fuel those negative thoughts and feelings, which just keeps us in this toxic loop. Our self image is impacted greatly by our automatic thoughts. And these tend to be those quick, reflexive judgments that we make about ourselves without thinking. And that's why today I want to focus so heavily on pausing and assessing what are those innate beliefs I hold about myself. Are they true and are they helpful? When it comes to squashing those ants or reframing some of those negative thoughts, I find it really helpful to remember that a thought is not a truth. It's a mental event. A thought is not a truth. A thought is a mental event. A thought might be based in truth, but it might also be based in a false narrative. And if we view a thought initially as a mental event rather than a truth, it allows us to pause and reflect on what that thought is doing for us. Is it helpful or harmful? Is it guiding us toward our goals or pushing us further away from them? Just because we think something does not mean it is a truth or an accurate reflection of what's actually happening or who we really are. It's also really important to remember that our self-image is not fixed. It can change. We were not born thinking poorly of ourselves. We learn that, right? We learn that through experiences, through how our peers treat us, how our caregivers treat us, how our neighbors and community members treat us. And what once was broken, sometimes our self-image, can also be rebuilt. But it's rebuilt through the opposite of what got us there. So if negative thoughts and negative narratives and untruths brought our self-image down, positive truths and helpful narratives and uplifting statements and truth is what's going to bring us back up. Self-image is not a fixed state of being. It's a learned practice and it is changeable. The way you speak to yourself and the way you allow others to speak to you makes a big difference. And it's important to ask ourselves every day, am I building myself up or am I tearing myself down? Am I allowing others in my life to build me up or tear me down? Are my thoughts, behaviors, relationships, or hobbies encouraging a positive self-image or contributing to its decline? And of course, it wouldn't be Mindful Minutes without our writing prompt. So go ahead and grab your journal, your notebook, your piece of scratch paper, your writing tablet or drawing tablet, or prepare to write in that journal that's in your mind. Write it out with your finger in the carpet. Write it out in the air like little exhaust from the airplanes. Whatever it is, go ahead and grab what you need. You can paint it out. You can draw it. And for today's guided reflection, we're going to think about the following categories. We're going to think about our values. What are our core values? What values do I want to live my life by? What values are important to me? And we're going to think about our efforts. Where have we been making effort in our life? Where have we been putting our strengths and our talents and our time and our energy? Where have we experienced growth? Physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, with regard to our relationships? Where has our life shown growth and progress? And then we'll think about resilience. Resilience is one of those things where I have this love-hate relationship with, right? Wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to be resilient, right? But it's not how life works. We face hardships and we face challenges. And as we move and grow through those challenges, we build our resilience. So where have you shown resilience? And then, of course, kindness. Where has kindness showed up in your life? And as we begin to move into our writing prompt, I want you to reflect on these categories. What are your values? How have you shown effort? How have you displayed growth or been resilient? And how have you shown up with kindness for yourself and others? If it's helpful to jot down those categories for reflection, you can do that. Another prompt option would be to name 3 qualities you possess that have nothing to do with your appearance, your productivity, or others' approval. That can be a challenging one. So we're going to take a few moments to write down some of our thoughts together. And you can write about all of these categories, some of these categories. You can use both these prompts or one of them. Whatever comes to mind, this is your time. And we'll spend some time in quiet reflection, writing out our thoughts. And take your time if you're still writing. There's no rush. As you continue with your writing prompts, pause and ask how these prompts make you feel. What emotions come to mind? Or what thoughts come to the surface? Is this an easy exercise or one that you find challenging? And give yourself just another moment to reflect and write. Remember, you can always come back to these prompts as often as needed. Sometimes getting these thoughts out of our head and down on paper can be really helpful with awareness or accountability. and freeing up space in our brain. And once you're done with your writing reflection or just kind of meditating on those thoughts, I invite you to do a little bit of some heart opening yoga. And I'm just going to begin with two prompts here. And one is cobra pose. And this is where you might start laying on your belly, placing your hands under your shoulders, pressing down through your palms, lifting your chest up towards the ceiling, trying to keep your hips and upper thighs anchored to the ground. And we want to press our heart forward, maybe even lift our gaze to the ceiling, and just open up our heart. Invite peace, power, and kindness into our life. Really offer the world all that we have in terms of our strengths. Imagine them radiating outward through our chest. Breathing deeply, inhales and exhales. Just focusing on giving and receiving that positive energy. You can do this pose for just a minute or two. You can even do it for 30 seconds and then lay back down on your belly. Maybe fold your arms in, rest your head, and then come back into it for another 30 seconds. And the second posture I have to recommend for you today is a gentle bridge posture. So you would lay on your back, bending your knees, placing your heels underneath of your knees. And you would press your palms and forearms down into the ground as you press down through the soles of your feet and scoop your pelvis up towards the ceiling. We want to make sure we keep our heart nice and open. And again, offering that loving kindness out into the world and receiving the same back in return. And this is one of those postures as well where you can hold it for a minute, or you can move with the breath. As you inhale, lift the hips towards the ceiling. As you exhale, relax the hips back down. And if you want more of a heart opening sequence, you can do the recommended heart opening yoga sequence. That's about 25 minutes after this video. And otherwise, I encourage you to carry with you today the idea that you have power and influence over not only that internal voice that's in your head, but also the direction your life takes based on whether or not you listen to the voice that's speaking to you. So let's make sure that that voice is saying kind things and true things to us. And if it's not, let's work on silencing that inner critic. Thank you for joining. This has been Mindful Minutes with Jillian. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Remember, be kind to your mind, and I hope to see you next time.